Have you ever looked at the items in your pantry and wondering if they are still good based on the best by date? If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross and this is The Cross Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. Our grocery budget is $135 per person, and for the last 2 years it's only been my husband and I in our household, so our grocery budget has been $270 per month. But many years ago we went through a financial struggle with some medical bills, and we were really struggling to bring food into our house. I didn't understand at the time, while people were being helpful and giving us food items, that the best by dates were mostly past the prime on the best by date, and I felt like they were giving us expired food. Now, over the years, I have done much more research on this and learned so much about how you can keep your items longer and they're still safe to eat. We believe in our household to have food security and having a really stocked pantry. By being able to keep canned items on our shelves and keep them rotated, we know that we have food security and we can make any meals that we need to make. Sometimes that also means that I'm swapping out an ingredient that I planned on using for something that's similar. Just over a year ago, we started packing up our pantry, staging our house, listing our house, moving to a new house, and now we are finally unpacking those pantry boxes. Now, there was a lot of items that I kept out that we were using during those times, but I also had stored away a lot of our food storage, so I knew that we would have it in case there was an emergency or store shelves were empty. We had backups in our pantry. They were just closed up in boxes for over a year now. So now that I am going through those pantry boxes, I thought it was a really good time to show you some older cans and what's safe to eat and how much longer we can still eat it. I try when I'm at the grocery store to make sure that I'm not putting any cans in my cart that are bent or dented. That way I know when I'm unpacking the groceries, if I happen to have something that's bent or dented, that I'm the one that did it, and I know that that's one of the first items I need to eat. So bent or dented because I bumped it into something, I dropped it, and I know when it happened, then I will try to eat it within the next month or two if it's not opened. Cans that are bulging, you should never eat. There is bad bacteria growing inside the can. In our pantry, I have can organizers that as I'm putting the items away, I will make sure that the ones that I need to use first are in the front, and then I put the ones that need to be used last in the back. Now, I've really realized over the years, especially during the pandemic, that just because you're buying something new at the grocery store right then doesn't mean that that stock is fresher than something that you bought many months ago. So it's always really important to be checking those best by dates as you're putting things away. So as I buy a case of beans, or in this case, coconut milk, I know that the best by date is in the same exact place on every single can, which makes it handy when you're trying to find the dates. And that's when I will take a Sharpie and I'll write the best by date on the bottom of the can, especially since I'm getting older and my pantry is often dark. That way it's really easy to see it. So as I put the cans away, I just make sure that the ones that I need to use first are up front. I make sure that we always have extra canned meat on our shelves. This was something that was really important, especially during the pandemic, wanting to make sure that we had that food security in our house and didn't want to have to leave. And especially with trying times now, it's just really good to have canned meat. But if you are looking at those items that you might have bought during the pandemic and seeing that the dates are getting pretty close to the date or past the date, know that canned meat is actually good 3 years past the best by date. So on this can in particular, the best by date was 9/24, and then I just write plus 3 years on it. So I know I want to make sure that I'm using this up before September of 2027. And the canned meat is something that we normally keep on our shelves mostly for food security, but as I see that we're getting closer to needing to be able to use up some of this canned meat, then I'll buy things like croissants, and we have chicken croissant sandwiches. I think it's also really important, even though you don't want to use up some of your food security, different meats that you're still rotating them in occasionally so your family gets used to eating them. So I rotate in things like tuna casserole or tuna sandwiches occasionally, or with some of our other canned meat like pulled pork, I'll make taquitos. Something else I think that is really important to have in your pantry is having canned beans. So I try to have multiple kinds of varieties for these, and I also normally buy these in cases. Buying them in cases ensures that most likely every single can in that case will have the same best by date. For beans, with these being low acidity items, these two will last 3 years past that best by date as long as the can is in perfect condition. I also keep some canned vegetables on the pantry shelves. We normally use a lot of home canned items, but I do like to have some that are commercially canned and will last longer. This cream style corn, I only buy it for one recipe when I'm making corn chowder, and I normally get a couple cans every year. This is one of those cans that were in those pantry boxes that we had moved, and the best by date is 12/24, but because it's a low acidity item, this will stay fresh for 3 years. Even though I do home can most of our vegetables, this is one example of an item that I home canned that's still by the date. The jar has gotten too much light and there has been some oxidation that has happened on the top of this jar. So with it being discolored like this, I would not eat it. So that is one of the benefits of having it in a commercially canned can. It's not going to change color like that. Now, on the other end of things, if it's a high acidity item like tomatoes and pineapple, those are going to start corroding the inside of the can, and you want to use them within a year to 18 months after that best by date. And if the world ended, it would probably still be safe to use all of these for many years if it came between you and starvation, but we're just going to go by best practices on rotating your pantry out. Tomato products is another one that is a high acidity item, and you want to use it within 18 months of that best by date on it. And this is something that we always have on the shelf. I home can diced tomatoes in different sauces, but I think it's also really important to also have canned tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, and tomato paste on your shelves because you can make so many different items with it. I always try to have a couple different options for milk products on our shelves too, which actually really saved us just this last week when we ran out of coffee creamer and also milk in our fridge. As I was trying to push out grocery shopping for 5 weeks and I didn't want to go without my morning coffee, we were able to grab a can of evaporated milk off of the shelf and use that instead. So canned milk products like coconut milk and evaporated milk are good 3 years past that best by date. And sweetened condensed milk with all the sugars in it is actually only good 2 years past the best by date. Another item that I like to keep on our shelves is some kind of carton milk. We used to keep almond milk mostly on our shelf, but lately with some different sensitivities, we have switched that to having oat milk. This milk is in cartons, and normally the best by date is between 9 to 12 months when it's packaged, and then normally it should be used within 1 to 3 months after that best by date. So right now in the spring, I know that this box of milk is going to last all the way to next spring. Something else, when I am going through my pantry, I'm trying to look at when I'm possibly going to use this item and planning out if I need to come up with a different meal or if it will last until that next special occasion. And a good example of that is cranberry sauce. This cranberry sauce has a best by date of 8/25, and then I know that I have 18 months past that. So I will be able to use this for Thanksgiving of 2026. And lately I have been freezing a bunch of pumpkin and keeping it in the freezer from fresh fall produce hauls, but I did have a can of pumpkin on my shelf, which I noticed the best by date was 11/24. But this is a low acidity item, so I could use this all the way until Thanksgiving of 2027. There's some other things that you might not think about that will last longer on your pantry shelves, and those are condiments. I try to only have one bottle of open salad dressing in my refrigerator at any given time. So the best by date on this unopened salad dressing is 9 months out, and then I know it will also be good for another year after that if I keep it unopened. And then with tomato-based products like ketchup or barbecue sauce, those will actually last a little bit longer than other oil-based salad dressings. So this barbecue sauce I just picked up at my last grocery haul. If you're interested in seeing my grocery hauls, we post every single one. But I was able to get this for $2.88 instead of closer to $5. And I know over the summertime I'm going to end up using at least 2 bottles of barbecue sauce, so I wasn't afraid to stock up a little bit. But this one has a best by date of 9/27, unopened, and then 18 months past that. This is another good reminder of how we keep track of our items in our grocery planner. I start a no backups list in my grocery planner, and I keep it going and then just mark things off as I pick them up. So the last time we opened up the last bottle of barbecue sauce in the pantry is when it went on the list, not when it was empty in the fridge, when we went to use the last bottle of the backup barbecue sauce. This normally gives me some flexibility depending on what it is for 2 to 3 months out until I actually need to purchase it, and then I'm able to work it into our grocery budget or catch it on sale. These are our grocery planners. We have 5 different covers for them. This is where I keep track of all of the ingredients that I have in my house and reminders of things that I need to use up, especially as we're looking forward to coming up holidays that I won't need to buy things for. And if you're interested in more videos on how I organize our pantry and have food security, we will post some of those video links in the description. We post 3 new videos on this channel every single week to help you save money on groceries and give you some meal ideas. And I spend time every single day answering questions and comments on YouTube. It's so important to me to be able to be a resource for you and help you have food security in your home too.